Hello everyone and welcome back, and I'm not gonna lie to you all, I'm a little bit annoyed with what we're going to be reviewing today. Now, a subscriber of mine brought this video to my attention where two members of the Versus community decided to do something really fucking stupid, and he warned me that it would piss me off if I watched it, and he was right. I saw this video, and now I'm pissed, so I want to have a rant. While this is still technically going to be a review, I'm not gonna lie, this might turn into a rant more so than a review, but I'll try my best to keep this as just a review. But first, some context. So, if you remember one Fish Mob, or as he refers to himself, Fan War, he decided to do a collab with Animation Rewind of all people. Why you would want to be associated with the guy who sucks so hard at what he does that he makes Death Battle look fucking reasonable in comparison. Now, I know I've spoken about Animation Rewind before. He is the bottom of the barrel in the Versus community. He is really low-hanging fruit. He makes Seth the Programmer look like a goddamn paragon of wisdom. Really think about that. So, this is already a shit show and a disaster waiting to happen. So, without further ado, let's just get into it, and same style as my Death Battle reviews. Holy shit. Oh, god damn it. Ugh. Fine, let's do this. So, where to start? Okay, let's start with the most obvious problem here. The matchup itself. Kingkong versus Godzilla. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, Animation Rewind. Nobody actually takes this matchup seriously. Nobody in their right mind actually thinks that King Kong is a match for Godzilla in any capacity. And if you try to say "ma movie" as an excuse, that's a really fucking retarded excuse, because Hollywood doesn't tend to give a shit about the intricacies of versus debating, so they don't really give a shit. They care much more about, you know, cinematic spectacle. They care about taking two iconic products and just putting them together in one movie. That is their mindset. They don't give a damn about a plausible matchup. An example of this is Freddy versus Jason. Anyone who honestly knows anything about versus debating knows that that is a god-awful matchup for multiple reasons. And the whole Godzilla King Kong movie was always more about spectacle and putting two famous characters together, because everyone knows that King Kong would have no chance in hell against Godzilla. And what pisses me off about this is you know that, Animation Rewind. You are aware of how mismatched this bullshit is, and you do it anyway. How many times does Death Battle get criticized for putting together matchups where they already know the winner in advance, or they already know one opponent has the ability to perfectly counter the other? Yet you're doing the same thing here, except to a much worse degree. Now, while I'm not defending Death Battle here, Death Battle's solution to this would have been to lowball the shit out of Godzilla, or use a weaker version of Godzilla, so that the matchup here isn't quite so hilariously awful. Except, what is your solution here? Let's do composite. Really, Animation Rewind? Really? Do you not understand that people hate it when you fucking do that shit? The Versus community does not like it when you do composite. Like, even Death Battle has learned their lesson from doing that shit. Again, when you are stooping to a lower degree than Death Battle, you know you fucking have hit rock bottom. Why did you think that composite here was a brilliant idea? Because you know damn well that Godzilla has gone toe-to-toe with the likes of Marvel's Thor. And you're gonna have him fight King Kong, you know, a being that was taken down by gunfire from planes in, like, what, the 1930s? Are you out of your fucking mind? King Kong has been taken down by crop dusters. And you're gonna say, oh, he's totally a match for that monster that regularly fights kaijus that are way out of King Kong's league, and has gone toe-to-toe with fucking Marvel characters. What the fuck were you thinking, Animation Rewind? This is why I hate you, Animation Rewind. I hate you so fucking much. You have no idea. I would rather be forced to live stream a Death Battle marathon than ever put up with your fucking shit, Animation Rewind, because you are beyond fucking incompetent. Okay, let's try to keep it calm. So, yes, this is a obvious one-shot, and Animation Rewind just decides, fuck it. Like, what they do is they deceptively don't go over the feats until after the fight to try to hide how much of a hilarious mismatch this is. And unfortunately, while the animation is surprisingly good for sprite animation, it's not necessarily going to help the situation here, because it's impossible for me to get invested in the fight when I already know the outcome in advance. This is the fucking issue here, and why I constantly rail against other fucking death battles that have this fucking setup of you already know who's gonna win in advance. Like Natsu versus Ace. We already knew the victor there. It was plainly obvious, so you can't get invested into the fight, but you don't take this into account because, once again, you are a fucking jackass, Animation Rewind. And as for you, One Fish Mob, you should know better. You should have been the voice of reason to prevent Animation Rewind from doing something stupid. But no, you didn't. Which really fucking pisses me off that you did this. Like, this is going to be a black mark on your reputation in the Versus community. I really hope you understand that, One Fish Mob. You really fucked yourself on this one. You should have known better. You should have told him no. You should have stopped him from being such a fucking dickhead. But you didn't. And one thing that really irritates me here is that they go for the death battle style of focusing more on shitty jokes rather than actually analyzing the character's powers and feats like you're supposed to. Stop focusing on shitty jokes. Stop. And when one of your goddamn jokes is a reference to Vor, you know you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. You really think anyone's gonna laugh at a fucking Vor joke? Yeah, Vor is a thing. It's a sexual fetish. Who the fuck cares? Actually focus on analyzing the characters. If I wanted to hear jokes, I would go to a YouTube channel dedicated to jokes. I wouldn't come to you, Animation Rewind. You're supposed to be a versus debater, not a goddamn comedian. If you want to be a comedian, go be a fucking comedian. Stop wasting time pissing off the versus community. And again, like I said, while the animation is fine, when you compare it to Death Battle, every Godzilla matchup they've ever done was in 3D. So once again, Animation Rewind, you are not reaching the level of quality that Death Battle has. When you can't even achieve Death Battle level quality, that is pathetic. And the jokes are fucking terrible. Like, none of them are actually funny from either One Fish Mob or Animation Rewind for that matter. And what I really find hilarious is Animation Rewind is so impressively incompetent and lazy, he can't even be fucked or bothered to write his own scripts. He has to hire someone to do that. You know, as fucking stupid as Death Battle is, at least they write their own scripts, Animation Rewind. Like, this is just god-awful. The worst Death Battle does not compare to this shit, and I mean that. Naruto vs. Ichigo is nowhere near as bad as this. And Naruto vs. Ichigo was a death battle that was so bad, so utterly incompetent, that Death Battle admitted they had no fucking clue how to scale Ichigo, and admitted this, and decided to lowball and highball Naruto and Ichigo for no real fucking reason, to hide the fact that they had no goddamn clue what they were doing. But you know what? At least Death Battle tried, and at least they put in the effort to make their own custom sprites for their animation, which I can at least respect that, because that's something I've been saying Death Battle should be doing for quite a long time. But I will deal with Death Battle later. The focus here is YouTube. And I don't know what else can be said about this, because it's so bad, it barely gives me anything to work with. The matchup is horrible. The fight is horrible because you can't get invested. The jokes are horrible. The script is horrible. The only one putting any effort here is the animator, who I feel really bad for that he had to waste time slaving to create this fucking animation, which again is impressive in regards to sprite animation, but it serves a obvious one-shot that should have never happened. And I get the feeling the only reason why Animation Rewind wanted to do this is because he knows about the Kingkong versus Godzilla movie that people are making a big deal about. And if that is the case, the movie is not a good excuse for doing this. When you do these matchups, you need to make sure they make logical sense and they're not fucking forced. But I guess I can't just really expect that much from Animation Rewind. I mean, he's shown countless times before to be utterly incompetent at every single fucking thing that he does. And this is why I hate reviewing him, because he's actually difficult to talk about. Because he fails so bad at what he does. So I'll just cut it off here. There's probably more I can say, but I've said most that needs to be said. So my final score for this shit show is my first 0 out of 10. An epic failure on every single fucking level. And no, just because you hired a halfway decent animator to do your shitty fight does not mean I'm gonna give you a cookie Animation Rewind. And as for you, One Fish Mob, I have to ask one simple question. What the fuck were you thinking? Like, seriously, you are better than this, One Fish Mob. You should know better. But I guess if your recent fights, Crash vs. Sonic, is anything to go off of, maybe you don't know any better. You still have a lot to learn. And the fact that you would think that it's a good idea to collab with someone as ruthlessly laughed at and hated as Animation Rewind really says a lot. Nothing about this works. There's no entertainment value here. I would rather watch the top 10 worst death battles on a loop over and over and over again than ever watch a single Animation Rewind episode ever again. Animation Rewind, go fuck yourself. Do us a favor and get the fuck out of the Versus community. We are sick and tired of your shit. All you ever do is succeed in pissing people off. You know what you are, Animation Rewind? You are that channel that butthurt fanboys use to justify their butthurt when their favorite character loses in death battle. They come crawling to you and beg you to do the same fight so that they can get the results they want. That is who you are, Animation Rewind. You are nothing more than a tool used by butthurt crybaby fanboys that get upset when their favorite character loses. And that's all you'll ever be. You will never be a credible voice in the Versus community. So do us a favor and fucking retire.